you guys ever feel like a really deep feeling in your stomach? Get your head out of the gutter. And you just know you shouldn't do something or you should do something? Because if the answer is yes, that's perfect. And you should keep watching the video because that's what I'm talking about today. Okay? I'm talking about intuition and how important it is. Okay? Let's jump into it. Oh, that was weird. There's some fucking lions out there. What's up, you guys? I'm super excited. You saw from the beginning. I want to talk about intuition and following your intuition, and I want everybody after watching this video to be like, oh shit, maybe I won't ignore my intuition. Listen, you guys all know what intuition is, okay? It's that deep-rooted feeling that makes you feel like, you almost feel like you're gonna throw up. It's like this real sickly, nauseating feeling that like when you're about to do something or you're doing something and you're just like, oh, I don't feel good about this. This doesn't feel right. Well, that's your intuition, obviously, because I just said that, and that's what it is. And I found that so often people just ignore it, and myself included. But guys, that shit is there for a reason. We evolved to have intuition. You know, that's super important. You know, we evolved from people that were living out in the fucking woods in the jungle, and we needed our intuition to know when we were walking into a dark patch of trees or land, we had to not feel good about it so that we could turn away because there's some fucking lions out there. And now, unless you live in the jungle, which lions don't even live in the jungle. You know what? I'm just gonna keep going. Unless you live still in the forest or in the jungle, you're not worried about any panthers right now. You're not worried about any of that stuff, okay? But there's other lions. We have finance, we have relationships, we have crossing the street without looking both ways, and so much more. So stop ignoring your intuition, okay? Here's my story for this. Basically, when I moved out to LA, I lived in a place where I had 3 roommates. And I stayed there for a year, okay? And then I moved into a 233 square foot studio apartment in Hollywood that had roaches and lions and, you know, gang violence everywhere. It was just really not a great area. And I lived there for a year. Now, at that time, I was just getting out of a relationship where I actually had lived with lions, this girl, and it didn't work out well, obviously. So I ended up wanting to move because I didn't like the place. And after she was gone, it was like, you know, you just stay in the apartment and you just think of it and it's not good. And there was roaches, so enough said. And I remember someone that was very close to me in my life. Now, I'm not going to say who it is. I'm not going to say if it was a family member. I'm not going to say if it's someone that I worked with. I'm not going to say if it was friends. I'm not going to say anything because it doesn't matter. And obviously, I'm not mad at this person or anything like that because no one will ever know what's best for you, only you. But a certain person had convinced me that it was a good idea to move into a safer neighborhood, which sounds good, in Studio City. But along with that came much higher rent. Now I'm talking about, I moved into a studio apartment that was 650 square feet, which is bigger than my 233 square foot apartment. But you know, it's not anything huge. And I was paying $1,600 a month. I was paying $1,600 a month to live there. And that was before utilities. So you can only imagine how much that fucked me over. Now, at the time, this person and I had been talking, and they had convinced me that things were going well. I had 2 jobs. I was making more money. And they had convinced me, like, yeah, it's a great idea. You should totally just do it. It's going to be in a safer neighborhood, and it's a lot nicer. It's a lot nicer. It's a lot nicer of a place. And, you know, when I found out that it was $1,600 a month, I knew what I was making on a monthly basis, but I had only been in Los Angeles for like 2.5 years at that time. And money was still tough. And I was still learning as a young adult how to manage my money. And I didn't have very much anyway, but I thought I had enough for this apartment, and so did this person. But for some reason in my stomach, I knew it was a bad idea. I didn't care what this person told me was on paper. I didn't care that if I saw my income was higher than the rent. I didn't care that I saw this and that and that and that it all seemed like it was working out. I didn't care. For some reason, even though everything showed me it would be fine, in my stomach, I knew that there was a fucking panther. I knew it was a bad idea, but I ignored it. I ignored it. Because I just thought that was my anxiety. I just thought that was me being naive and me not understanding that I should invest in a more expensive place so that I have a place to stay and like whatever. I was convincing myself. We all do that. We feel things inside and we ignore them because we think it's just anxiety or it's just being nervous or it's just whatever. But there are certain feelings and things where you really have to listen to them. And it wasn't like I was nervous to do it, like I was nervous to get in front of other actors in a class and like perform. It wasn't those types of nerves. It was, I like knew already that it wasn't a good idea. And turns out it was a horrible fucking idea because within the first month, everything seemed like it was going to be fine. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, my finances changed. And that was unexpected. I didn't get fired. Nothing bad happened, but my hours changed, payroll changed, all that stuff. And I was fucked. So I had to get another job. I had to get a restaurant job where I was serving at the time because I needed to start serving and making like $100 a night, $200 a night on top of minimum wage because I was going broke and I didn't have internet. I didn't have cable. I could barely afford to put food in my refrigerator. I somehow managed, but shit was rough. And I worked. I went to my first boss with my producers because it was kind of like a year into working with them, and a year and a half into working with them. I was going to their job. I was going there in the early afternoon or in the morning. I'd work till the nighttime. Then I'd go into my restaurant job. I'd get out at 2 a.m. I'd come back, have a hard time sleeping because I was stressed out, and I would do it all again. And there were times where I literally went 6 weeks straight without a day off. That happened once. I went 6 weeks straight without a single day off. I'm not exaggerating. Most of the time, it was 4 weeks straight without a single day off. Now, that's super fucked up, but that's because I had to keep working. And I thought, you know what, this is part of the journey. This is gonna teach me. I just have to work. It's gonna make me tough, all that stuff. But really, it did, I believe, but it really like dragged me down. I started getting even more anxiety than I already had. Depression, financial stress. I wasn't having a social life. I didn't have a love life. It was just me working and just surviving. I was just treading water. I wasn't pursuing acting. Yes, I was working with the producers, but it was in those stages where they were still trying to see what I got, and it wasn't like what it is now, but I just wasn't doing anything, and that dragged me further in the hole. And I always told myself, I was like, you know what? This is the last fucking time I'm not listening to my intuition. I made that pact with myself because your gut, your brain, your heart knows what's good and what isn't. Man, that's the last time I would ever ignore my intuition. And so I implore everybody listening to do the same. And I'm not talking about stage nerves. I'm not talking about you're in a public speaking class in college or high school, whatever, and you have to give a presentation and you're nervous. That's not the same. There's a real difference between being nervous and having those butterflies and knowing internally that something is a bad idea. And eventually started realizing once I did this for a year and then I was month to month at this apartment, and just really quickly, I brought up to the same person again, like, I think I need to get another roommate. I think I need to get a roommate. And they were like, no, that's a terrible idea. You're almost out of the woods. You don't know if you can like trust people, like da 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 da. And again, if I would have followed that, that would have been me ignoring my intuition. And what did I do? I said, fuck that. I'm gonna follow my intuition. And now I live in a really big 2-bedroom apartment in North Hollywood. So it's not Studio City. It's in North Hollywood. It's still a nice area, but I have a roommate. I'm splitting the rent 50-50, and now I have a place where I have a whole setup. I have lights here that I have 2 lamps that are framing me. I have another light here and another light there, and I'm happy and I'm financially good because I followed my intuition. And I have my own working space and everything, and you know, everything is different now because I trusted my intuition. So I want to tell everybody, just trust your gut. Please, if there's anything you get from this, follow your instinct. It's there for a reason, okay? Now, really quickly, I want you guys, if you watched all the way through, thank you so much. And I want you to comment below. I want you to tell me about a time where you ignored your instinct and how that turned out. Or maybe a time where you had this deep instinct and you decided not to do something because of it. And I want to know about that in the comments, and I'll hop in the comments with you guys. So just let me know, and I'll see you guys in the next video. But really, really quickly, I need you guys to subscribe. I need you guys to hit that like button and smash that notification bell so that you know every single time I post, because I post every Monday and every Thursday. So see you guys in the next video. Thank you so much. Yeah, boom.